Okay, we are live. Hey, everybody, how are you? It is Sunday night. I am so excited to be here. We are talking about a superwoman soul, and I have Ray Jenkins, the fabulous, the amazing, the awesome Ray Jenkins here with me tonight. Welcome. So glad to have you here.
I'm so glad to be here.
This is so much fun. So, you are one of our speakers in the WEN Summit, and you know, we're talking about a range of things that I think will help entrepreneurs build that online dream business because it's a process.
Hmm.
Anybody who lies and says, you just go on and you post an ad and you do this, or you stand there and you click your heels.
They're lies. All lies. Ask me how I know.
Yeah. How do you know this?
Because I bought into the
Hey,
lies.
everybody, how are you? You bought into the lies. Yeah, me too. I mean, I totally did. And, you know, that was one of the things is, I came online and, I started building my group and like I was all impressed with all my degrees and all my knowledge and all my experience. And yeah, I got my ass handed to me.
Multiple times? Because it happened to me multiple times. Like,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah. Multiple times.
Multiple.
Multiple over years, and it's like you start to get some success going and then life will throw you another freaking curveball.
Curve balls, man. Like, I have this saying that what can go wrong does go wrong. Like, so I just I just ride with it because I just know, like, you can be riding on these incredible highs. Like you said, you get a little bit of success and you got smiles on your face and you're like, yes, we're here. And then boom.
We have arrived flat.
Man, it's so true. It's so true. But well, one of the things that I will say, Haley, is, thank God for perseverance. And I feel like no fluff. I feel like you are perseverance personified. Like real talk.
Thanks.
I really do. A lot of the people under the sound of our voice right now don't know me personally or whatever, so they don't know that I am not a flatterer. That is something
No,
I
you're
do
not.
not do. I definitely speak from the heart, when I'm speaking. And I do. Like I've had the privilege of, having conversations with you, seeing some of your posts, and being aware of the challenges that you've had, and in spite of them you persevere, you just continue to show up. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. As I was coming out of the sunken place, you played a very huge part in that, even though you didn't even really know it. you
Huh?
know yes, because I was watching you. I was seeing what you were doing, and it was something that I could model. And I knew that there was some pain behind those smiles, and that's why, like, I'll get on Monday and Thursday and I'll do my lives, and I'm laughing and my face looks bright, but my eyes are like on fire because of my allergies. And no one would ever know. I mean, well, I do say it in the lives, like, listen, y'all, I keep blinking because my eyes are on fire. But
Yeah.
it's just like, I get so excited about connecting with the Superwoman that I'm able to persevere. I'm able to press through that. And you definitely set an example of that. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a process. And like you, my eyes and my allergies have been acting up crazy since March.
Hmm.
And oh my gosh, COVID and everything else. And I'm sitting here going, but it's just allergies. Because I have asthma too. And it's, allergy induced asthma. And oh my gosh. And one of the delightful side effects of bariatric surgery is that sometimes I cough or my nose runs or my eyes water after I eat if I'm full.
Oh.
So, sometimes it's like, sorry guys, promise, I just ate. My eyes are watering. And you can kind of see people go, dude, what? You're really weird. Strange. but you don't really want to have to explain, I have this weird thing with my stomach, and, Mother Nature has a really funny sense of humor.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. And thank you, Kathy. And hey, Beth, good to see you guys. Yeah. I mean, it's true, and it's important to have that soul and that, that core of what we do. So what is a superwoman's soul to you?
So the Superwoman's soul, I came up with that as a direct result of me being in the sunken place for an extended period of time, because I'm a very spiritual person. I have a very real conversation. I mean, not conversation. Relationship with God. And so I'm very spiritual. And so when it came to spiritual things, I was very much on point. But what I began to realize while I was in the sunken place was there was a disconnect between my soul and my spirit. And so there were things in my soul that I really needed to handle, that I needed to address. Things like my relationships, childhood trauma. I was abused at, growing up, and I got into abusive relationships as when I became an adult, or, old enough to get into relationships. And so, a superwoman soul is just really about dealing with and helping her to navigate through those soulish issues, because we tend to overlook how we're feeling, and we tend to suppress not only how we're feeling but what we're thinking, and all of those things, and they're important. We just got to learn how to navigate them and use them to our benefit. So that's what a superwoman soul is really about.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. And there goes my husband sneezing in the background. I don't know if y'all can hear that. But yeah, no. And I mean, a life is always, unless you have a truly blessed life. I mean, for me, my life has had its fair share of the ups and the downs.
For sure.
Taking care of both my parents and my husband's father and my husband's grandmother. And then before my husband's mother passed away in 93, my sister-in-law took care of her while hospice was taking care of her to give a break to his dad. And I mean, we've had that, life just happens kind of a thing. And it doesn't matter, how much money you have, or how pretty your house is, or how nice the car is. Life still keeps on happening.
It keeps on happening in real time at warp speed.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have time to slow down for you to go, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to just sit here and mope on a rope.
Exactly. Although sometimes we need to mope a little bit. Sometimes
we do.
We can't stay there. Can't stay there, but we need to do it because we need to feel what we feel, and that was a part of the reason that I was in that sunken place for an extended period of time, because at the onset, and what triggered it was two life transitions. One was the loss of my dad, and the other was my daughter graduating from college and entering into adulthood. And so I was a single mother, and my world revolved around her, and definitely with my dad, like, he was my dude.
Right. Yeah.
He was my guy. And so dealing with and then going through a breakup while my dad is in his death process. So it was a lot of loss going on at that time, but I kept trying to suppress it and keep going and keep going. And then life finally set me on my ass.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Yes. You have to give yourself time to grieve.
Yeah. And I wouldn't. I just
wouldn't. Give yourself time to acknowledge the pain and to really, go through, some of the aspects of processing. I mean, it's not like, my experience with my dad, it left a huge hole in my heart. And it still does. But it doesn't mean that I didn't give myself time to grieve, but I also recognize that grieving is an ongoing process that lasts for years. But it's not like I stay in that mope state persistently.
Right. For sure. For sure.
I give myself that grace and that permission and that love to, acknowledge the pain and acknowledge the grief
Yeah.
and, sit with it and give it some love and then move on. And I've had to do that a lot with my daughter because it's a slightly different process, but it's like losing somebody over and over again with the severity of the mental illness that she has. Um, it's like dealing with somebody who has Alzheimer's or dementia, where it's
Yeah.
that slow, multiple death kind of a situation. And, there's definitely times that I've had to sit with it and work through the grief of losing my child and then losing my child again. And then, getting her back temporarily, or is it a mirage or an illusion? And then that yanking it back again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of processing that happens as a result of that.
For sure. You know, I feel like every time we talk there, I find another commonality. Because it wasn't my child, but my mother.
Mhm,
A part of my childhood abuse was being rejected and abandoned by my mother,
mhm,
and being a child, I didn't understand that my mother suffering from mental illness, that it was beyond her, and so I
that she
too,
was not capable.
she was not capable. And so I too, even as an adult, even to this day, and as a matter of fact, I was actually just thinking about it today, how it's the very same thing, how I feel like I get my mother and then I lose her again, I get her and then I lose her again, and it's been this way from childhood. So
Mhm,
again, an extended period of time, and I completely relate to what you're saying. And and it
mhm,
goes back to what I was saying before, the perseverance, but even though we persevere, it's very, very important that we not overlook our pain. We can
absolutely.
we acknowledge our pain even though we choose to persevere, and perseverance is definitely a choice. Is a
Mhm.
choice for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that, the other thing to consider too is that with entrepreneurship, regardless of all the family stuff that's always happening in the background, for me, it's been all kinds of crazy kid stuff. And a lot of stuff that I don't even discuss online.
Right.
Um, because I have 4 children. So, you know, we were giving my 17-year-old shit tonight because he couldn't remember my middle name, um, doing the common college application. So there's lots of, dynamics and stuff going on all the time. It's
Right.
nonstop. But the other thing that, happens a lot in business is that we have failures.
For sure. For
We
sure.
do something that doesn't work. It doesn't work as expected. It doesn't work as well as expected. We don't get the results that we were hoping for. And, you know, a lot of y'all are probably going to be shocked when I say this, but for me, that's more often than not that things do not work quite exactly as I was hoping for,
Exactly.
or that it takes 10 times as much work.
That's the reality. It's the
That is the reality
reality.
of business.
Yes, because again, like people see the smiles, right? They
Mhm,
see the they see us showing up or whatever, but they don't see the background stuff, like the things that are going on. And this is like the failing is real, but it's also necessary. It's
mhm,
the contrast, because with there's always the yin and the yang, there's always the good and the bad, there's always the up and the down. It's the contrast, I call it necessary evil.
absolutely. Yeah. No, and I mean, for me, it's been, I can give you examples, like here in this group, not every single thing has worked the way I thought it
Right.
would.
Right. Yes, we've tried it. Yeah, 'cause there were a
You've been
couple
around
things.
a while with this group, so like that I
Yes.
am really not kidding. So a lot of people look at the group and they're like, "Oh, you guys had 69,000 members. Oh, how easy that is."
Not.
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 Not. But oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, and you've been an admin in the background, so you've seen the not. Isn't that a cute little spammer? And
yes,
we keep getting smarter and smarter with our keyword alerts, and I mean all kinds of stuff, because it's definitely a lot of not.
A lot of not for sure. And for me, that's why one of the things what I'm going to be talking about at the summit, what I'm going to be speaking on is the Superwoman's guide to building and maintaining relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm often talking about our relationship with the Superwoman's relationship with her man, her money, and her mini me, because there are other relationships, because there's relationships with clients, there's relationships with vendors, there's relationships with other associates, like women here in the group.
Mm-hmm.
There's all types of relationships, but the relationship with your man, your money, your mini me, those are the foundational relationships. And you were talking about failing, right? Well,
Yeah.
those are the relationships that you need intact when things are failing, because as a woman out here in business, you need support, and so it's just kind of like what we do sometimes. And some people are really good at this and it's not their problem, but so we're clearly not talking to them. But those who have that problem with balancing
Mm-hmm.
the relationships, at home, and those relationships online or in business or whatever, have their goals, all
Mm-hmm.
of that, it's just kind of like, a lot of times I see, and I've worked with women who are private failures but public successes.
Yeah.
But you want to find that balance, because what if people find you out? I'll give you a perfect example. We just, about a month or so ago, the Smiths, Will and Jada Smith's situation rocked the airwaves or whatever, right? Because of their public success, while they've got this private failure going on in their family dynamic. And even though they started coming out, 18 or so years later, and, to start talking about those things, whatever, and not that they even had to, the point is, we spend so much time, without that balance, and that balance is really, really important. And so so that's really what I hone in on when I'm working with Superwomen, her relationships.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it's really important to build not just your family relationships and those foundational relationships, but it's also important. For me, it's been vitally important to have my business besties, my friends who are in business, who understand the crazy, who get the crazy, and even some friends who are not in business, who have been my friends forever, who have stuck by me through thick and thin.
Mm-hmm.
Because my husband tolerates my business.
Mm-hmm.
Tolerates. But, it's not his thing. It's really not his thing.
Mm-hmm.
So to say, he's supportive. I mean, I can't really go to him and say, hey, I'm having this issue with a client, or I'm having this issue with a contractor, or I'm having these issues. How would I go about fixing this? Because y'all, he's a software engineer. He writes device drivers.
I'm so glad you brought up that point, because this is real time, right? So here's the deal. Of course, you want to separate those. You absolutely want to separate those. So when I say the support, what I'm saying is, like, you won't go to your husband and say, oh yeah, the vendor did this, or these crazy people did this in the group, and these spams, these bots, and whatever. No, you.
Oh my God, all this Forex and binary and Bitcoin stuff.
Lord, right? No, but you would go to him and say, I'm having a rough day, I really need a hug. But if there's a disconnect in that relationship, it's hard to get that support, because he feels like you put the business ahead of him. Your business is more important than him. So with that disconnect, you can't even go and get that familial love that you need, that support that you need. So that's the importance of having the balance in those two worlds.
Yeah. And for me, I don't even have that.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I just don't.
Gotcha. We can
Yeah.
talk.
We can talk. Yeah, no, seriously. Like I said, he tolerates it, but when things go sideways, I talk. I have my business besties that I talk to
Right.
and my support network, and you and I talk periodically. I mean, and that's one of those things, yeah, that's maybe a bombshell for some of y'all because, to me, I know he's going to try to fix it or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes his responses to situations just add more stress to me. And I know that
Gotcha.
after 28 years of marriage, I know where, his responses are just going to stress me out further. So
Gotcha.
you learn, you know, where to ask for support and when to ask for support and what kind of support.
For sure, for sure. And knowing, and I agree with you 100%, knowing what type of support to ask for,
Mm-hmm.
knowing when, knowing how,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that I kind of teach in the guide is the how, because a lot of times in relationships, especially when they are long-term relationships, long-term commitments, we start to kind of take each other for granted,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't really fully understand how to connect and communicate with each other, because we just kind of like, oh well, he'll be there, oh well, she'll be there, oh well, it is what it is, that kind of thing. But relationships are for the very purpose of needs being met, fulfillment.
Right.
And and you definitely, not you per se, but we as women, we definitely want to make sure that we're just as we're giving and sowing into our relationships the right way, so that
Mm-hmm.
they give back to us what we need, as well, as much as we are with our business. And again, a lot of women, they struggle with that balance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, that to me has been one of the most important things, in the last 5 years dealing with our oldest. There's a
Mhm.
lot of feeding back into the relationship because there's massive stress, as you guys can probably imagine, dealing with our oldest with all of the psychiatric issues, and then trying to raise three other kids to be at
Right,
least, semi-normal, whatever
right,
normal
right,
means.
right, right. As you were just talking, something came to mind, that just happened recently, because it's not, to be completely honest, I've just come all of the way out. I've been navigating my way out of the sunken place for a couple of years now. And again, a lot of trauma, a lot of healing has taken place, and I have really transformed.
I
Like,
remember that conversation we had, and I'm pointing over here in my kitchen, like
yes,
almost 2 years
so
ago.
right. Right. And and I mean, like, I'm so different. Like, I'm so free in a way that I've never been before. But it's just recently in 2020 that I am all the way out of the sunken place.
Mm-hmm.
So just recently, a couple of weeks ago, again, being a spiritual person, I I really felt in my spirit that I needed to call my daughter and apologize to her. Watch this. So I call her, and no, matter of fact, I text her and I said, hey, because it was early in the morning. I said, call me when you wake up. So when she calls me, I said, hey mamas, I call her mama. I said, hey mamas, I owe you an apology. And she said, for what? And I said, because I realized that when I was going through that, you know, that mental madness, that I abandoned you. And she bust out crying. I had no natural clue that that was going on with her, but naturally I felt
Mm-hmm.
that there was some type of tension, some type of disconnect between her and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I
Mm.
was thinking that, that she stopped believing in me and things like that or whatever, but it was just, so I would have conversations with her based on what I thought that it might be. But when I realized what it was, I hit the nail right on the head. She felt abandoned. And even though, and this is where we can miss it sometimes in our relationships. So it wasn't my intention to
No,
abandon her, but it doesn't change the fact that I did. You follow me?
no, you had pulled in on yourself. There's a point where, you know, we're going through a sunken place and we pull in our energy into ourselves to try to reserve all of our energy to make it through,
Hmm.
not realizing that we're also pulling away from our support systems and our family.
Yes, yes. And she was so used to me being her superwoman and her strength. And so it was just kind of like she felt left uncovered. She
Mhm.
felt, she felt like, I left her.
Right.
And I kind of did. I did. I left her, you
Mhm.
know? But and so being able to have those kind of real conversations with each other, being so that we can continue to connect. Disconnects are going to happen in relationships. That's a given
Mhm.
because we all grow, we all evolve, we're all learning something, we're all becoming, right? And
Mhm.
so disconnects are going to happen. Again, it goes back to the how. How do you reconnect? Properly. How do you know when to reconnect or that you should reconnect and all of those kind of things? And so, again, those things they're so important, but they're so overlooked because we're about our business. We're super women. We're out here making it happen. We're out here holding it together. We're out here kicking ass, and we're out here giving all that we feel that we have. And we're
Right.
out here, we're doing our best. So nothing that I say is ever about condemning the superwoman.
No,
I would never do that,
no, absolutely. And I mean, I appreciate, Kathy's comment, she's, thank you. I'm tired of hearing the stories of other people's easy, simple, never failing success that came so easy. It makes those of us trying every day feel defeated. Thank you for making it real.
That's real, Kathy.
Absolutely. I mean, and I appreciate the fact that you made that comment because, you know, that is one of the things that I never want to do in this group is give people this like la ti da ti da ti da, like everything is
Yes.
amazing, everything is so easy, and I just click my fingers and everything just happens, and everything just happens. With 40 volunteer admins in this group, and I have a team of 9 people working for me right now. That just happens,
Hmm.
and it is like nonstop work in chaos. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you I work an easy 40-hour week because
Right.
I don't.
I know.
Not at this point in my business. I don't have, I and this is true. I mean, I make decent money, but I'm not making enough money to hire another 4 people to be able to replace myself either.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And that's the reality of
Mhm.
it. Like, and again, um, not only do you persevere, you are honest. And I can appreciate that because I am too. Like, and sometimes people feel like I'm too in your face, I'm too blunt,
Mhm.
or, those kind of things or whatever. But my take is that, super women are solution oriented. We don't really have time for fluff. We
No.
need directions, instructions, guidance. Give me those 3 steps. Okay, let me go implement that. Let me put this because I need results.
Mhm.
We don't need suggestions. We need results, right? We need solutions. And so I'm very direct, and I can't
Likewise.
apologize for that because I've been through so much and I've had to fight my way through so much that, I'm very gentle with the
Mhm.
superwoman, but I'm going to tell you what's true because if we can run with what's true, we can get you beyond the BS.
Mhm.
But if you feel like you got to sit in it for a little while, okay, that's fair.
Mhm.
That's your choice. I'm not going to beat you up about sitting in it, but when you're ready to run, girl, let's run. Let's get out
We're
it.
here.
Let's get beyond it. Let's, what I call the baggage and bullshit.
I like that baggage and bullshit. TM.
Yes, I actually have the project that I was telling you about that I'm about to launch soon. Yeah, the Christian one.
Mhm.
So the tagline, the subtitle for that is "Life Beyond the Baggage and Bullshit." And so yeah, it's like
Yeah, well, we have plenty of baggage and bullshit. I mean,
for
we
sure,
all do.
for sure,
It's a
for
thing.
sure. And that's my love for the Superwoman. It's just kind of like I just, again, no judgments, no condemning, none of that. I just want to see you win. I want to see you beyond that pain. I want to see you get to where you believe you should be. And I understand that those are some soul issues. They keep us from arriving sometimes. They keep us
Mhm.
from getting to where we say we want to be and doing what we want to do. I know, while I was in the sunken place, it was a lot that I didn't get done, but I also appreciate that it was a lot that I couldn't get done because of the mental and emotional space that I was in. And that
Mhm.
space that I was in, I didn't give a damn about money. Like the last thing that I was caring about was how to make a crap ton of money. I've made a crap ton of money before I went into the sunken place. So coming out of the sunken place, I'll make a crap ton of money again. But while I was in that place, what was so important was to be healed because it was that stuff that was blocking my heart, and just weighing me down mentally, just oppressing me, depressing me, suppressing me. And those kind of things keep you from, breaking through. And so I be getting hype, right?
I love it. I love the hype. That is so cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And what is your presentation going to be on in the summit?
So again, the title is the Superwoman's Guide to Building and Maintaining Relationships. And I'm going to talk about, her relationship with her man. I'm going to talk about relationship with her money, talk about relationship with her mini me's. And I'll probably throw a bonus of, stuff with working, relationship with clients as well. But because of how I teach and what I teach, their principles, you can really, anything that I say to you that you can do with your dude, you could actually do with a client, but for the sake of it being about online business, um, I'll definitely throw something about the clients in there too. But again, for me, those personal relationships, they are very paramount when you consider your success in business. They just really are, because again, like I said, what's the point of being a public success when you're a private failure? You can have both worlds.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you so much for joining us. Y'all get your tickets for the summit. We can't wait. It's about 2.5 weeks from now, and it's exciting.
Gonna be exciting.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ray. This has been so much fun here. Take care, everybody.
Bye
Bye-bye.
everybody, see y'all at the summit.